I wouldn't regret that. But I knew that one thing I might regret is not trying. Acknowledging that, we welcome you for the today's talks on how to build a startup from scratch, presented to you by ECEL VNIT. So ECEL is the Entrepreneurship Cell of Visvesvaraya National Institute of Technology, and the very purpose of ECEL is to foster a community of contemporary as well as a seasoned and entrepreneur. So for today's session, I would like to welcome our guest speaker, Damini Mahajan ma'am. And Damini Mahajan ma'am is the CEO and co-founder of We Make Scholars, a not just for profit organization addressing a major social issue. Lack of reliable and transparent information in the higher education sector. Their mission, in their own words, is with the earth's best platform for aspiring scholars. Along the lines of today's topic, how to build a startup from scratch. Make Scholars is just a non-profit organization, largest education finance market, distant students with scholarships and education loans in India. So now over to you, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you, Alok, for the introduction. I hope I'm audible enough. For everyone, I'll just give you a brief about what I do before, I go ahead to give you the gyan of how to start up. First, you should know what exactly I did and, what is my startup about. We Make Scholars, as Alok briefly mentioned, we are in the space of higher education financing. So we help students who are looking to study abroad primarily, even though we have started domestic also recently. So we help these students for financing their higher education foreign studies through scholarships and education loans. So we are not, really into that admissions or anything with visa. So we are right into, in the mid of the study abroad journey, which is about financing. Now, we started as a scholarship platform in 2015. It was because me and my co-founder Arjun, we went to the UK for our masters. We got 100% scholarship, and that was the reason that we came back and started this platform for students to be able to find scholarships. But then throughout our startup journey, when we started, in the initial 1.5 year, we realized that other than scholarships, also a lot of students are looking forward to finance their studies through education loans, and they are facing a lot of issues with the banks. And that's where we pivoted, you can say, or we added on another vertical of financing, which was student loans. So currently we work with about 12 plus banks and NBFCs. We work with all large banks in India: State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, all public sector banks, and private banks and NBFCs also. So mostly, like 95% of the options which are offering education loans in India, we work with them. We are a team of about 185 team members. We are based out of Hyderabad, but we help students span India, and we are the largest in this space when it comes to abroad education financing. So We Make Scholars has about 15% market share. So last year, about 80,000 loans were sanctioned to Indians who are looking to study abroad, out of which 12,500 were done through We Make Scholars. So which is approximately 1 in every 5 students who are looking to study abroad actually take their education loans, looking to study abroad and taking a loan. The 1 out of 5 is actually going via We Make Scholars. So that was approximately 5,000 crores of loan sanctions which we have done last year. So that is briefly about what We Make Scholars is, and what is the value proposition we are offering to our customers or students, and that's what We Make Scholars stands for. Now, coming to today's topic, which is how to build startup from scratch. I think it is not something which I can tell you probably in half an hour, but I would like to cover all the just basic tips and gist of it, that what are the issues which people face when they start, and what are the initial few steps they should ideally do. So now coming, going back to my journey. So we started thinking of starting up when we were doing our masters, and it was back in 2013-14 year. So we we of course started thinking, okay, where it actually starts, because the question which all of you are here for, that how to build it from scratch. I think the first question for everyone is like, where is the starting point, where exactly it kind of ignites and it starts. So the first thing is always the idea. Now with respect to idea, for some it is like it comes on the way, like you are going through a journey, and then you will see some problem and you will be like, okay, we can make a business out of it, so let's start. Right, so that's why you'll see a lot of startups in like the student space, because people who are, when you're in college, you would see ideas which are in that college space, maybe something that has to do with campus, something that has to do with admissions and marketing in campus and things like that. And again, a lot of people, when they are working also, so once they are working in large companies, small companies, when they see so let's say how Zoho started, or how Freshdesk started, or Salesforce, let's say the first one of all as a SaaS which started. So when someone is working in a company, they see there are certain problems, and that can be solved. So why not start a company which can solve, which can provide a software as a service or whatever, right? So most of the ideas is something which you see a problem, and you are one of the person who is facing that issue, and you feel that you can solve it, and you can solve it for other people also who are like you, and that's where the idea begins. But again, as most of you who are listening to me today are students, I'm sure you're not going to see all kinds of problems when you are you know in your college. And also, so it's not that everyone who would start up or come up with a successful idea would be in college. So some of you might start working and then see in different industries. Maybe someone would start working in a fintech industry, someone would work in FMCG, or so you, when you're in that industry, you would see the problems which are there in maybe logistics, or maybe with the how they are maintaining the tech, or how they are maintaining their maybe general things, maybe how they are maintaining their HRMS portal very badly, and you'll be like, hey, I want to start a company which is related to payroll or HR or anything. So that's what I'm saying. So some ideas you would be able to get now, some ideas you would be able to get on your journey. So that's one thing. You have to be patient enough. You have to understand that you cannot force yourself to get an idea. It naturally, it has to come. But at the same time, you can probably research, and you can probably read which all startups got let's say funded in Y Combinator last year, right, or last intake, and then you can see, okay, what are these ideas. Okay, if you're really forcing yourself to think of some idea, that's one of the ways that you read, you follow news, you follow what are the latest startups in US which are getting funded, or what are the startups otherwise coming in which are not there in India, and then you come up with an idea. So now at the idea stage, again, as I mentioned, the first thing of starting up something is always the idea. What exactly do you want to solve, right? What exactly do you want to start up in? um so with idea, there are few things, the checkpoints I would tell you, that when you're thinking of an idea, that when you're let's say you have three ideas and you're choosing one. So there are certain things which defines a good idea versus not a very great idea, right? So see, some businesses can be like solving a small problem. It can be a lifestyle business, or it can be a product which you make and you sell it off, or something of that sort. So what are the things you have to look at is, one is primarily what is the market size. So if you are eventually looking to be a heavily funded startup, I'll tell you what investors care about is what is the market size. Can you be like Swiggy or Zomato or Flipkart, or so what is that portion of the market you are catering to? And even if you're like in a B2B business, what exactly can be the annual ARR of the company, right? Yeah, so that's one thing. The market size is something which I think investors particularly, they're very picky about, especially the bigger ones like, Sequoia, or, all the light speed ventures and people like that. They are very particular on what is the market size which you're looking at. The second thing about idea is also, again, coming back to the first thing which I said, is that it should actually be a pain. So a lot of businesses fail because, they think of an idea and they feel, oh, it's a problem, but the problem is very imaginary. It's just you thinking and you making a problem, but which actually doesn't exist. So then what will happen is you'll come up with the solution, and then you'll go to the market, and then you'll realize no one is willing to pay for it because the problem is not even painful enough, right? So just think of these two things, that the ideas which you're solving is actually a pain, and second thing, the market size is large enough. So when I say the idea has to be a pain, sometimes it can be a innovation, which someone didn't think of. Let's say Airbnb didn't start with a problem. I guess they are more expensive than hotels. The problem statement they say is that, more probably they started with a bed and breakfast, but then that actually was not a problem. The hotels were existing, people could pay for it, but then they just started with an idea of experience, that you stay in someone's house and which is get more localized experience. So that's not a problem, but then that still has a substantial value add to the consumer. So that's about idea. Now, after you get the idea, the other things, again, we are coming to the topic, which is building from scratch. So I'm going to give you like small nitty-gritties also. So once you get the idea, the second thing you'll probably have to think of is making a pilot. However you can, do it, maybe through Instagram or through Facebook. You want to make the sale, or you want to talk to your actual customers. So like the pilot scale is what you will have to try. And parallelly, you'll also have to start thinking of the legal elements into it. That is like, registering the company, finding a good chartered accountant who will, help you register and help you maintain that company as well. So those kind of are, the other initial things, the legal things which you'll have to look at. One, tip which is very important, which I feel, anyone who talks to me about, when they're in the initial stages of their starting up, one thing which I tell everyone is that don't invest too much time and resources in building technology, like building portals or building the, system for your client, system for your, until unless, you're a tech company. So if your product is tech, right? Let's say if you're making Truecaller app, then the product itself is tech. So then you have to invest in technology. But let's say if you're in a consumer tech business, again, let's take an example of maybe you want to start something. Let's say when Uber didn't exist or cab booking didn't exist, and you want to start. So you shouldn't ideally, invest very heavily on polishing your tech and, I want the perfect product, I want the perfect thing. So that shouldn't be the idea, because I think what happens a lot of time is, recently I was talking to a startup founder, and, he said that, more than business, we spent our 3-4 months on building the tech, and by the time we ran out of our savings, right? So they could have actually, so what they were doing is they were into something like a subscription of food delivery, like a monthly lunch package. You get lunch every day. So they were building something on that, on those lines. So they could have very easily, managed things on an Excel sheet. Right? They could have taken orders, they could have made a very simple order page, and not exactly making the whole system that the order is received here, the order is routed to the restaurant technically, and then the delivery updates go to the customer. That's not required. I mean, you as a founder, you have to put skin in the game. For at least first 100 or 200 customers, you actually can make a call and tell them this is where your order is, right? So you don't really have to make that system, or you can manually send a message like your order will be reaching in like 30 minutes or whatever, right? So what I feel is like, a lot of startups invest too much time and too many resources on building the tech instead of spending that time in validating their idea. So validation of the idea can actually be done even on an Excel sheet. Again, the clause, it shouldn't be. I'm talking about if it is not a tech product, it should be like something like consumer tech or something of that sort, not exactly just a, not like a B2B or a tech product. Okay. So focus on the business and try validating your idea instead of just focusing on the tech. The next thing which I have written here is that there are a lot of things which incubators will tell you, or if you attend these startup events and all these kind of events, startup events which keeps happening. The one thing you would see is whenever you go there, they'll give you one business model canvas kind of a to fill that, and they're like, hey, start with your idea on that. So that thing actually helps. So when we were working on, initially the pivoting and whatever we did, so business model canvas thing, it sounds something very stupid that, why are we doing that and why are we writing that? But when you actually start writing, okay, what are my strengths? And then you start thinking, okay, acha, us competitor ka ye hai, mera ye hai, and all on those lines, right? So it actually kind of validates your idea within your mind, and it kind of polishes it. So don't take that, light. Try to fill the business model canvas and try to fill that again and again. Also, I would say that, discuss with a few people and then come back again and modify your business model canvas. That actually works. Okay. The next important thing when you're starting, so all these things which I'm telling you is something I think you would do when you are still in that ideation process. You're still trying to consolidate it. You would get a good idea, you would pilot the idea, you would look at the legal things of it, you will make a business model canvas, and you should also get good mentors. Okay, so now founders, whoever, let's say I spoke to, they generally end up asking me, where do you find your mentors? So we have some very great mentors at VMX Scholars who actually helps us in taking tough decisions. So whenever, there is a situation we don't know what exactly, we should do and where should we, let's say, expand to, and what should be our next vertical, and also, so we go back to our mentors and ask them. So, and most of our mentors, they are not familiar with our industry, but they are, someone who have who had in past experience of running a startup. So we have 3 mentors on board, and all of them have started and sold their companies. One of them sold, one of them went IPO, and they carry different kind of experiences. So now finding mentors is very important. You can try with someone from your industry. So, catch people on LinkedIn, catch people in conferences if there is anything, so when you get an idea, try to look for people who are working in similar space, talk to them. One thing which, I don't know if many people think, but then I used to stupidly think that, you shouldn't disclose your idea to a lot of people. Someone will steal your idea and this and that. So I'm telling you that doesn't happen. Idea is not that worthy as execution is. So no one can actually steal your idea if you are capable of executing it, and if you have those insights. Telling someone your idea in, like, 1 line or 10 lines, your idea shouldn't be like that, you know um I would say narrow, that, if you tell someone, it's gone. So generally it doesn't happen. No one really steal your idea. So yeah, so just talk to people, tell them about what you're working on, what you're planning to do, and take their feedback. And whoever you like on the journey, ask them that, if they can be your mentor. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are not even gonna ask you any money or equity stake or sweat equity kind of thing. They're just gonna come on board. Mostly, let's say, successful entrepreneurs who have their own businesses running, they won't care about, asking you 2% sweat equity just because they want to advise you. So people are generous enough, they would want to help you. And a lot of people who have done it, they really want to help young people, who are starting up, budding entrepreneurs. So find mentors. It really helps. I think a lot of startups ignore that thing at early stages, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of decisions which you would have no idea of, how to handle such situations, and your mentors would actually help you. So mentors is the next thing. And yeah, and I think the other thing which you have to be very careful about when you're starting up, like when you're in very early phases, is you need to understand that most of the common reasons, the top three reasons why startups fail. The first one is team. So your hiring has to be very strong. So by team, actually, I'll put it in like, okay, so the first topmost reason is people are not able to build a good team. So that is about hiring. The second reason is about business model, that their business is actually not is it's not something customer would pay for. And the third most common reason is the founders clash. Okay, so somewhere the first and the third one is related, that when you're finding co-founders, you have to be very careful about people you mentally align with. You can ideally you should look for co-founders with complementary skills, but you both, or if it's more than two founders, you should be looking at the same thing. So because see, not everyone is starting up for same reason. Some people are like very particular about that. Hey, I want to make a big company and that's what matters to me. And then there would be people who would be more focused on their personal benefits. I should get the recognition. But then there will be founders who will be like, I'll do the work, but I don't want to be the face of the company. Right. So if both of you want to be face of the company, that'll be one of the clash, that, oh, I want people to recognize me as the founder or, co-founder or whatever. I want to be in all the media or whatever. Right. And sometimes it's also clash on when do you want to exit. Some founders would be like, hey, I want to run it, I want to take it to IPO. The other co-founder would be like, hey, let's raise a lot of money and, exit. So whatever it is, you should ideally co-found a startup with people who are like you in terms of your values, and in terms of what exactly both of you want from the startup or life in general, because you will be running the startup for a lot of your, I would say, best years of your life you would be spending on that startup if you're starting when you're in college. So you both, or three of you or four of you, should be wanting similar things from life. So having good co-founders whom you align with on all these lines is very important. And the first point which I mentioned was hiring. So make sure you're hiring good team. A lot of founders. I can't name this person. So I spoke to this lady. She is a very successful, you know, um, author. She started up her company in 1993. Sometimes she was telling me that whoever we used to hire, we mostly end up being a training institute, because people would come, people would leave, we would train them, we would teach them the work, and by the time they would have to work, they would leave. And that was one reason that she shut down, because she could never build that team which could take the company to the next phase. Right. So having a good team is very important. Having good co-founders is very important. And the second reason, which I had told you, was business model. So making something which people want to pay for is another thing which is very important when you are starting up. So I think that's it. That's all, some of the early tips I wanted to give you. So once you have all these things in place, once you have an idea in place, once you have good mentors, once you have taken feedback and validated your idea, you have taken care of the legal things, registering the company with CA and all those things. So then, the wheel starts rotating, and after that, it's all about the momentum you give to that wheel, right? So after that, once things are rolling, you would be able to, in a startup, pivoting is something which you will have to do throughout. So you every day, every week when you would sit, you would think of something new, and you will be like, "Aisa kar sakte hain, aisa nahi kar sakte," and you would end up changing things on the go, but that's what I'm saying. So once the wheel starts rotating, momentum is something you can anyway you will be able to give it with your regular work. So that's all. So I think I'm open to questions if anyone has, and I think you guys will be taking it from the live. So let me know what are the questions.
There is a question from like, how can you work in some startup as experience or say as a
Sorry. Sorry, whoever is speaking, your voice is breaking. So can you like tell me once again, or maybe type it in the chat or something of that sort?
membership? Yes, ma'am. A question is from Gridhar Agrawal. How can we involve in someone startups as an experience, or we can say as a entrepreneur or entrepreneur?
Okay. Okay. So the question is around how can you involve in any existing startup to learn? Is that the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, so I think to see things at a starting phase, one very good thing you can do is like interning with a startup or working with a startup. So I think that gives you a lot of ideas on, how things flow, how things work. So yeah, so I think it's not something rocket science. You can just during your breaks, you have 2 months after every semester, and I think 1 month in the winter as well. So yeah, so you can work in a startup, intern in a startup, and learn things. Yeah, so and if your question was around being a co-founder or joining some existing startup, then again, it has to be with someone who is already maybe you should have good connect with, because I'm not sure if you can like work with random people who have already started up. I don't know how well you would align, but as of what I know is in the startup events, a lot of people are looking for tech co-founders and all, because there will be a lot of people who will get ideas, but there will be very less techies in the startup world. So if you're a computer science grad, if you start going to startup events, I'm sure a lot of people are looking for tech co-founder. So yeah, that could be another way.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Ma'am, my name is Devish. I have a question that nowadays Web3 industry is something which is uh, there is very much hype in the internet. So, what are your thoughts on the Web3 industry?
So what's that Web3? I'm sorry, I haven't heard of it. So what's Web3? Is it okay, something with blockchains and everything, is it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Got it. So, honestly speaking, I'm a consumer tech person. I'm not really very familiar with blockchain and, all those NFTs and things like that. So, sounds fancy when I keep reading on, startup journals every day. I think there was another, this one startup which went busted last week, right, in the crypto space. So, yeah, so read of all the things which are good and bad of the industry, and yeah, I don't have much to say about it.
Ma'am, there is one more question from
Sure, I'll.
ma'am. He is asking about how to build a startup in college, means how to select team. because we generally prefer our friends to be a team in our startup, but they not be may not be the worth it as a co-founder or something. So how to build that?
Hmm. Okay. So Alok, that's a very good question, and I personally feel you will find the best co-founders when you are in college, because you'll be very, you'll be staying together in a hostel, and you have a lot of time to spend together. So, but what you said is right. So what ends up happening is, like, let's say you're from mechanical engineering, for example, and you'll end up starting with other three friends of yours who are from mechanical. None of you have any idea of marketing, none of you any, like, all of you are techies, and all of you come with like similar set of skills. So the first thing which I said about co-founders is that you have to find people with complementary skills. So yeah, so what I feel is, like, even when you are in a in college, try to look for people from different domains. If yours is a tech institute, so I'm sure you won't have a lot of non-techies. So when I was in college, I was doing my master's. So what we did is, like, we were doing, so I that was the start of my entrepreneurship journey. So we did this one beer competition thing. It's there in a lot of talks which I have given. So for that, me and my co-founder Arjun, who is my co-founder in DMX Scholars, we both were from the engineering side, that we knew how to make beer. But then, to make our team stronger, what we did is we went to the management department, and we told the professor to announce in the class that if any students are looking to join our team. So we got two MBAs, MBA students to join our team from the business side. So I can tell you that back in that time when we were working for this beer competition, that was a very brilliant idea, because there were a lot of things which these people from management background added, which we, both being techies, we were not aware of, right? So I think that is definitely something you can do. Again, coming back to VNIT, I'm sure you don't have, I'm not sure if you have the business programs, but I'm assuming because it's a tech institute, you might not have. So in that case, maybe you should have maybe one co-founder from your batch who can be, you both can be the backbone, and then you can onboard by giving, minority stake. You can onboard other co-founders whom you might meet in startup events and all those things. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. But the main issue is how we trust on
Sorry.
how I will trust on my friend or maybe the person who I am selecting.
So see, that is something, you have to see someone, you have good bonding with, good understanding with. So that is something which is very important in the long run in college. So the story of housing.com, right? These 12 people from IIT Bombay started, and then everyone started fighting after starting up. And then, two co-founders left, and another two left. And then finally there were like four guys left who again had a fight, and they kind of, investors threw everyone out, right? So all 12 were out later. So that kind of chaos can definitely happen when when you are in college and you want to start up, and all of you join together and all of you join together and start up. So yeah, so just see, I mean, not just on a friendship scale, be bold enough to tell your friend that I can't start up with you. So look for that person, see that that person can handle things and has the capacity to be a co-founder, instead of just seeing that, oh, he's your friend and you want to just go ahead with him. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So are we done? Any other questions? So if we are done, we can end this session here. And it was great talking to all of you and sharing my tips and my journey. So I hope it was helpful for someone who is looking to start up.
Yes, ma'am. It was really.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
And one more thing that we are launching the startup conclave event, which is the Center India's biggest B-plan competition. And in this event, we are going to conduct some networking meets, mentorship rounds, and real life pitchings also. That's our startup program, means event we are launching.
Very nice, very nice. So wish you good luck with that startup conclave. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye, ma'am.